Okay, hello and welcome to the Nagging Panda Partner Program interview. Welcome, Willem from Dough Getters Accounting. It's very exciting to have you on the show. You're our first, like I told you just before we started, we always call our first victim, but hopefully this goes nice and smooth and not too many technical issues. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Elan. Very nice to join you, and thanks so much for the opportunity to be here today.
Definitely. Listen, thank you for the opportunity, and we really appreciate you being a Nagging Panda partner and a supporter. But we don't want to talk about anything to do with us. We want to talk about you. That's the point here. Is we want to get to know you. We want to get to know Dough Getters, and we want to understand how you started and where you are. So, if I let me kick off when you started. I know you've got a wonderful background and a long history, and Dough Getters is a brilliant business that you've created. But what was before that? Where did you come from?
Yeah, so it's a longish history, as you quite rightly pointed out. And I'm not shy to give away my age, but I left school in '94. It was my matric year, and
Okay.
I was I think one of the first group of people who at that time missed the compulsory army service. In fact, I
Oh
think when I
wow.
was in my second last year to high school, I got my number, to go to the army. And
Yes.
so, just after that, we had the first free elections in South Africa, and I missed it. And I was therefore able to go and pursue my studies immediately. So I became an accountant. It's something I always wanted to do. I love that kind of work. And then for some reason, in my first year of university, I just couldn't sit still. And so the idea of sitting through long lectures just didn't appeal to me. So I started working for one of the big four firms in my second year. And
Okay.
so, it turned out to be a 20-year experiment. And the last 11 of those 20 years, I was an expatriate in Lagos, Nigeria. It was
Wow.
an
Okay.
exhilarating, life-changing experience. One of the reasons I went to Nigeria was to go and help the firm at that time uh, convert, to a new system and to a new way of auditing. And what was meant to be a few weeks turned into 11 years. So it was, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to talk about there, but I don't
Wow.
think
So
that's
you
the
actually
point
you
of today.
stayed that side for 11 years.
Yes, yeah, in
Wow.
Nigeria.
And I mean, it must have been an incredibly different lifestyle and the way that, just the experiences that you had completely different to now.
Yes, I think culturally was probably the biggest impact. We truly got to experience firsthand what it's like to live in a multicultural environment, more so than South Africa. And yeah, we learned a lot of extremely valuable life lessons there, my wife and kids and I.
Okay.
And I
The
still
whole
miss it to
family.
this day. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Wow, amazing. And incredible. It must have been quite a thing to move everybody there and then back.
Yeah, so people always say there's certain life events that causes the most stress in your life, and I think I can't remember everything, but I think it's like getting married, moving house,
Yes.
and then the other thing is moving country. So we weren't just moving house; we also moving country and changing jobs. So all of those things happen at the same time, and it was also 7 months into the life of our first child. So it was a lot of new things in our life all happening at the same time. So stressful to say the least, but good.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've moved country
Yeah.
once or twice as well, and just on my own, it was difficult. So I can imagine for you, but amazing. So,
Mm.
listen, having spent quite a fair amount of time with you now, you're a very good people's person, and that probably contributes a lot to it that you get along so well with different people.
Look, Elan, it's very nice of you to say it, but I have to say that when we moved to Nigeria for the first time, I was still in this mindset that South Africa is not part of Africa. In my
Right.
mind, South Africa was very much the southern tip of Europe, and therefore, for whatever reason, I never saw myself as part of Africa. So going to Nigeria, I went with this idea of I'm going to help them, and I very very soon realized that there's no us and them,
Yes.
and I also realized that I was actually there to go and learn not only about myself but also about the beautiful people of West Africa. And
Wow.
that's one of the reasons why it was a life-changing experience. It taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about being humble. Yeah, and just always have a growth mindset. You're never
Yes.
too old to learn new things. You can always improve. That character transformation that I think most people are looking for is something that you should pursue until the day you die. And that's certainly, one of the key takeaways for me while I was living there.
Definitely. Yeah, I love that. Well said. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, so now you lived over there. You had an 11-year journey there with the family, learning, a give and take where you're applying your mind and learning some, and then you come back to South Africa.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. So when we returned, so the main reason we returned was not because we wanted to get away from Nigeria. On the contrary, we had no reason to leave there. It was really, yeah, we still want to go back there one day.
Right.
But we felt just where our family was at the stage. We had by then our second child, and we wanted to get back closer to the grandparents. And we were also, concerned about schooling, various options. And so
Yes.
we made a family decision to return. And my desire at the time was to get back into the firm that I used to work with.
Okay.
And due to various reasons, it just didn't work out. And so
Okay.
initially I was left with a choice, to either look for another job or to go at it on my own.
Yes.
And so I decided to on the latter. And so I started my own little professional services firm. At that stage, I made all the mistakes I think one could possibly make. I
Right.
didn't
Well,
go
as
cloud.
everybody starts out does. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't go cloud. I was super manual. I was super uninformed. And I eventually just ended up being a freelancer for a couple of months. It
Okay.
didn't work out. And then I got a very interesting job offer with a German firm that wanted to open up new branches in East and West Africa. And so I ended up spending another 2 years of my life traveling the continent and going to Europe, which was an awesome time of my life.
Okay.
But
Well, that's
basically,
awesome.
soon after that started, I realized, look, I actually have outgrown living in working in a big corporate environment, and I want to do something different. Now I've learned most of the lessons I thought. Um, let's try again. And so the
Yes.
reboot started in middle of 2016, and that's really the start of Dough Getters. And the rest is history, as they say.
Wow, that's an incredible journey to get to the start of the business, and the start of the business is really the start of a whole new journey again. So exactly like the journeys that you would have gone through, and all the learning and all the experiences, I'm sure all the learning and everything continues inside of Doget as you grow.
Absolutely, yeah. There's not a day that goes by where I'm not making a mistake, having the wrong thoughts in my mind, losing confidence, and then getting back up again, getting excited about a new thing. It's just a constant up and down. A guy called Donald Miller, a few months ago, I heard him say that being a business owner is like being slapped in the face multiple times a day. And
Yeah,
so
that
then,
actually, that sounds right to me.
it's so definitely that is very true. But the idea of being your own boss, in a sense, working for something that you're building, because of some aspirational goal that you're chasing, it's
Yes.
just continues to be very, very appealing. And one of the key reasons why I've not yet gone back into a corporate environment, seeking the safety of a guaranteed salary.
Yes, and I think many people in today's day and age are also, making that way up and deciding for themselves if they've got the confidence to go out on their own, or if they want to stay in that safe, call it safe in inverted commas environment. Now,
Yes.
tell us a little bit more about Dough Getters and what you guys are doing. And you obviously moving into the cloud. You guys are a wonderful zero partner. I know you've won. Is it Zero Partner of the Year a couple times, or I know you've done some excellent stuff in that environment.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. We won the Emerging Firm of the Year in 2020, and then the following year we won the Partner of the Year with Zero. Um,
Amazing.
and I have to say, when we started the the Dough Getters journey, we had a lot of other firms that already started that journey before us that we still admire to this day. Um, I'm thinking of Iridium, for example. We keep on bumping into each other when we at road shows and stuff like that. There's
Yeah.
Adrian from Wingman Accounting, creative CFO, outsourced CFO. I mean, all those
Yes.
guys have been in business longer than us, and so we've also had guys we continue to look up to and we learn from on a continuous basis. But I think, we saw the benefits of going into the cloud, and the other thing that we also saw was the future of accounting is no longer business as usual. It cannot be the same where you operate in a firm of partners that has to be there every single day in order for that business to work. It cannot
Yes.
be the same. And I think professionals in general, and this might be a bit controversial, I'm a professional myself, but professionals in general, I think have allowed themselves to be misunderstood by the public at large. There's a certain sense of arrogance that people experience. There's a certain sense of looking down onto people who's not as professional, for whatever reason. And what that causes is it makes it difficult for people to approach them. And I
Yes.
think you will agree with me that businesses don't do businesses with businesses; they do businesses with people. And
Absolutely.
so
In
one of
fact,
the
I just did a talk about exactly that. So you're speaking to the yeah. It's a sort of, I think people say preaching to the choir. I always say business is
yeah
done by people, not by businesses. So
yeah
100%. And exactly what you're talking about, it makes people unapproachable. Um,
yeah
if you have that sort of aura around you, or that feeling about you that you can't come talk to you, we would never be having this discussion today if that were the case.
exactly. So that's one of the things we wanted to change, in the industry, and we believe that's the future, what the future accountant looks like. Think about it
Yes.
this way: there's tons of businesses out there, small business in South Africa. Everybody believes that that's the future of the success of our economy. How many of those business owners really know what to do? Many of them run their business based on gut feel. So it goes without saying that they need a lot of support. They need support crews around them. Now, how will it be if the professionals of the world are the ones trying to provide that support, but they're unapproachable? What you want
Yes.
is a situation where business owners want to have the freedom to come and seek you out for your support, for your advice, for whatever they might need to get them to move forward and make a success of their business. And so that's sort of at a subtle level one of the things we're trying to do at Dough Getters, which then is also one of the reasons why our name is Dough Getters and not Haarhoff, Barnetson and Co. or something like that.
Yes. It makes 100% sense, and I love what you've said. I think a lot of people who watch this will say that they understand what you're talking about, and I'm sure many people have experienced actually what you're talking about. Um, so it actually reminds me of an interesting thing that happened to us recently, and in fact, you were at the roadshow. Um, Zero put on a fantastic roadshow, and we found
Yes.
something quite unique between the two events. And you'd be a great person to talk to about this. On the first day that we went there, I was there with Bryce, who works with me, and we were dressed fairly formally, smart jackets, looking a bit more professional. And we actually had an interesting experience because our whole discussion with everyone that we talked to is about Nagging Panda, is about something that, let's call it fairly fun, in something that's quite tough to talk about, because collecting money and reminding and nagging people is not always fun. But Nagging Panda, just in its nature, brings a bit of comedy or a bit of life to something that's a bit dull. And on our first day that we went to the show, we were dressed a bit formal, not because we wanted to level up, just we had never been to a road show before, so we thought, all right, this is the attire. And when we spoke to people, it was a little bit cold. Even though we engaged with a smile and super excited to see people and talk to them, it was a bit hard to break the ice. When we went to the next day, we went with Nagging Panda, big Nagging Panda signs on our back, a bit more branding, a bit of life, and the ability for people to go, "What's a Nagging Panda?" And all
Yeah,
of a sudden, it was like we'd broken through 10
yeah,
layers of difficulty just to be able to communicate with a person. What do you
yeah.
think about that type of environment? How do you cut through it? How do you um, break that ice with new people so that you can engage and then you get through the stuff that you need to get through so that people can talk to people?
Yeah, Joch, that's such a cool question, and I think a lot more discussion. I think may be required in this regard. There's a couple of aspects to it. I think the one aspect is your appearance.
Yes.
How should one dress? And I think you've insinuated that dressing is perhaps part of the equation. Um, and that's something we actually wrestling with at the moment at Go Getters. We actually asked this question just over a week ago in one of our meetings: is are we too informal? How many potential leads do we miss out on because they see the way we dress or they see our appearance, and on that basis they make a judgment, uh, either to go with us or to not go with us? It's an
Yes.
interesting question. We don't know what
Yeah,
the
I
answer is.
agree.
One of my colleagues launched a poll on LinkedIn. If I remember correctly, the one option was t-shirts and jeans. Second option, button-up shirts and chinos, and the
Yeah.
third option doesn't matter. Just get stuff done.
Yes.
And that poll suggested that 75% of the people who responded said doesn't matter. And the last time I saw, 10% was for chinos and button-up shirts, and 15% for t-shirt and jeans. So
Right.
that was somewhat revealing, but of course that doesn't mean it was a representative sample.
Yes.
So I don't know how to answer the question from a first impression perspective. If you
Sure.
go back to my ex-colleagues in Nigeria, they will all say to you, you have to wear a very expensive suit, double cuff, shirt underneath, TM Lewin, and beyond. That's the way to go.
Yes.
Otherwise, people will not take you serious. And I think in many cultures, that is certainly the truth. So
Yes.
there's an element of cultural sensitivity that I think comes into the equation. Um, and then I think another aspect would be to consider, um, what does respect mean? Some
Yes.
people see proper dressing as a sign of respect, and other people see that if you force them to dress like that, also as a sign of disrespect. So it's a somewhat of a double-edged sword. So I think what we're trying to do, in terms of what I'm trying to do always, is to focus on being as authentic as I can in my relationships. The moment you can
Yes.
be authentic and truthful in your behavior towards other people, I think all the other stuff falls by the wayside. Then it becomes
I agree.
completely irrelevant, unimportant, in fact, uninspiring. Um, the words that come out of your mouth, the authenticity that comes from your heart, and how you connect with people is what makes the difference.
Fantastic. I love that. And I agree with you. I think authenticity is the key. And I think that maintaining good, strong, trusted relationships is the key. And I suppose the point of any partnership is to move that forward with that ethos, so that if you're partnered with us or we're partnered with you, or however it works together, you know that you can trust everything that we do and say is with the
Yeah,
best intentions and the best will for the end user's experience to get the best result. So I agree, and I love what you've said. Thank you. So just you touched on it already, and you're talking about where you see the things moving for the industry. When I look around and I look at the industry, and with the innovation of the cloud and things like Zero, watching Zero do what they're doing in South Africa is inspiring. I really enjoy it, and I love their presentation and how they approach everything. I find it to be refreshing in an industry, and their vertical in particular. There's so many incumbents in the space, not necessarily doing what Zero do, but utilizing it. There's lots of app partners. There's lots of accounting professionals. Space for everybody becomes an interesting thing for me. So another discussion that I had with someone was that there was sort of a comparative drawn where somebody goes, well, I've seen apps that do this, and I've seen apps that do that, and there's a whole bunch of different apps in one sort of space. So take a nagging panda or a chaser or a bridgement and another loan providing integrator in the accounting world. And then you look at the actual accounting professionals, brilliant entities like yourself or the other guys that you've mentioned. How does everybody work together and fit in this world? Because I always tell everyone there's lots of space. There's room for everyone. How do you see it?
Yeah, I definitely think there's enough space. I agree with you, and I think there's enough space for people solving problems. So I
Yes.
think for me, it's a race towards relevance and being able to first identify and empathize with the day-to-day problems that our clients experience. And again, I think in a real sense, the accounting profession over the years have become experts at being presumptuous, thinking they know what clients' problems are, thinking they add value by pushing debits and credits around. And in actual fact, what clients want, in my experience, is they want reassurance that they're on the right track. They want the soundboard. They want insights into their numbers. They don't care so much about whether the debits are in the right buckets and whether the credits are in the right buckets. That's almost assumed. I mean,
Yes.
if you can't get that right, then what are you looking for? So I think for me, it goes down to your approach. Are you able to really empathize with clients through authentic relationships? Are you able to spot the problems they experience and then position yourself to solve those problems, as efficiently as possible? But having said that, I think the space is becoming crowded, in a sense.
Yep.
So if you just look at the evolution of the zero users in South Africa.
Yes.
Literally 5 years ago, when we started Dough Getters, there were, the zero road shows were small affairs. I mean, you would get together, and maybe there were 100, 150, 200 people in a room, with a
Yes.
road show.
Yeah.
Now, you've seen the kind of event they hosted in Cape Town a few weeks ago. I mean, that was like almost like a ZeroCon.
Yes.
Thousands of accountants getting excited about accounting, getting together in one room. So
Yes.
I think the key lesson for me there is not so much to be concerned about, is it crowded or not crowded. It's more about what is going to happen tomorrow. What are you doing to be ready for what's going to happen tomorrow? Or are you camping where you find yourself? And again, I think accountants are notoriously conservative and introverted, and not necessarily given to pioneering and finding out new ways of doing things. And then I think if there's one thing I would recommend all the time, is to be that accountant that goes out and try new things, and think about tomorrow.
Brilliant. Well, Willem, thanks. I can't tell you. Thank you so much for this discussion. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. We are super, super, super excited that you're on board as a Nagging Panda partner, a supporter, and we've appreciated all of your feedback along our journey, which is the beginning of our journey. Even though there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the background, we're just surfacing to the market now, so people are only seeing what's coming through. But we really appreciate you and your business and what you're doing for the industry. So we just want to say thank you. And we want to tell people how to get in touch with you. Can people find you? LinkedIn, website? How do people get hold of you?
Yeah, thanks so much for that. Yes, on LinkedIn, I've got a profile there. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and then also you can go to our website, doughgetters.co.za. We are in the process of doing a complete website redo or overhaul, whatever you want to call it. So
Yeah.
for the next few weeks, we will be launching a new website, but the one that's there at the moment we still watch it. So.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. And if whoever's watching this, whether you're incumbents in the industry or looking for somebody to help you, I cannot tell you enough how much I recommend this man and his team. They're wonderful people, and they've always got your back. So thank you again, Willem. And to everybody watching, we'll see you again next time.